Yeah, spot on.
So game every 3 days. How much do you think that's going to shape and dictate the season, that one, for everyone, not just yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the league it's so tight that it may, although I've got a sense that it might be tight all season. Certainly for us, I think it's a significant period because I think when you look at those games, we've got obviously the league where we kind of have to improve our position for sure, and then we've got a couple of important European fixtures that kind of could set us up for the back half of the year, and we've got obviously the Carabao Cup quarter final. So, at the end of that period, we could be in a decent position for a strong second half of the year. So for us, it is an important period. I think it is, and you kind of know there's no more international break, so you kind of the full focus is here. Yeah, so you can, you're right. You can build some momentum through that, or if things don't go well, you could get yourself into a bit of a grind. So we're kind of gearing ourselves up there. It's I think for us, it's going to be a real pivotal part of the season.
What do you think your Christmas would be like if you were still knocking around 10th at the end of that period?
Christmas is a joyous occasion, mate. Irrespective, I think it should be celebrated. Mate, if we're still 10th, obviously people won't be happy. I won't be happy. So, but we might not be 10th, mate. So.
No, I get that. Yeah. It's just you said before about not looking at the table. Yeah. But there'll come a point if you don't get at the table where that position, whether the data's good or whatever's good, becomes an issue.
Yeah, of course. When I say don't look at the table, I don't look at the table in terms of where I think our progress is, but obviously the table reflects where we're at. So yeah, of course. But if we had beaten Ipswich, we'd be third. I reckon this press conference would be a lot different, wouldn't it? So, I mean, I'm not saying you, but in general, it would be different, right? I'm not going to let my life be dictated by one result. I'm sorry. I think I take a sort of wider perspective on these things because I know how fickle it can be. But we need to address our position for sure. And if we're 10th at Christmas, it won't be great, for sure, absolutely. And rightly so, there'll be a lot of scrutiny and probably a lot of scrutiny around me, which is fair enough, but that's not where I plan us to be.
Done.
And you said Pep's kind of set the standard in the Premier League, but when you combine Pep and his genius with the backing of the City and Abu Dhabi and all the rest of it can give him in 2 more years, can other clubs, including Tottenham, kind of hope to win consistently while he's there?
Yeah, look, it is a great challenge, and I guess, but I've said in the past, I love the fact that there's a massive target out there that can seem insurmountable, because I think that hopefully, well, it does for me anyway, it raises my level, it gets me going. I would, I keep saying, I lived the experience of equalisation in sport in Australia, and it's great from a, I guess, competitive point of view because everyone believes they can win, but after a while I used to get frustrated with it because excellence tends to be capped at a certain point. It's up to everyone else to kind of bridge that gap, and I love the challenge of that, and I would never think, I'd never see that as a bad thing.
So there was no part of you that just thought it would be nice if he could
No, because I look at it the other way. I go, imagine you knock him off. That'd be something, eh? That'd be something. So, and I'm at the stage of my life where I'd rather have a chance of knocking him off than missing that opportunity. Not in the right way, obviously. Rather than miss that opportunity, or I think when greatness is around, you want to be around it, and hopefully it challenges you to be like that as well.
Tom?
Rephrase my... So.
And throughout your time here, you've been pretty steadfast with your approach.
Yes.
In all these press conferences, how
I have.
But I was quite struck by your post-match after Ipswich. You said that you'll have to fix something to help with the consistency and maybe look at your approach. Just wondering if that was sort of words after a game, or if you've reflected on it in the last couple of weeks, and if there is something that may be tweaked.
Yeah, no, I'm always kind of reflecting. I mean, I think I don't think I would have sort of lasted as long if I was just sort of. I know people try and paint me as sort of one-dimensional. There are certain beliefs that I have that I won't waver on, but within that process, there's always things, because there's different challenges wherever you go. And I just think, you know, the games we've really got stuck in this year, we've really struggled to find solutions in game. You know, and I'm thinking about sort of Brighton second half, Palace and Ipswich, where we didn't really have solutions out there. And the solutions do exist; they exist within our football. But you know, maybe the way I'm messaging that, that's the reflective bit for me, is to say, okay, well, how can I become even sort of clearer, or maybe find a different way of showing the players that when we do get stuck in these moments, there are solutions there. Because obviously, currently how I am doing it hasn't had the impact I'd hope it would have. So there's always self-reflection. I think like I said, I am steadfast and I am clear on. I have some really strong principles that I just won't budge on. But that doesn't mean I don't feel at times I need to adapt in the way I deliver things or the way I work.
And just on a completely separate issue, over the international break, we had the situation with David Coote that came up with the referee.
Yeah.
I guess the question that to all managers really is there an element of trust that's been lost in the referees as a result?
No, not with me. And again, I'm not across the detail of it, but firstly, I think a bit like Rodrigo, he's obviously made some poor decisions, made a big mistake, and he's a human being, so you kind of worry about his welfare. So hopefully, I'm sure he's getting good support around him. But you know, with our officials, rightly so, we hold them to the highest possible standard because of those things. But I don't think just because one person makes a mistake that necessarily means. I'm not silly enough to think that every official is perfect, like no manager is perfect or anyone else, but we all make mistakes. So I would I never lose faith in the officialdom, because I think if you do, then it's a very slippery slope. And I've worked in a couple of leagues where that was always kind of the undertone, and I hated it because like you kind of questioned everything, and I don't want to do that. I believe the officials, you know, I believe in the integrity of the officials, and I'll always abide by sort of, you know, their decision making and accept it.
Dave.
I wanted to ask you two things actually. First of all, about Romero. Had he been carrying something when he went to Argentina?
Look, he hasn't been carried, but he has been. Look, to be fair, even with us, he hasn't been sort of fully fit for probably 2 or 3 weeks, and he's kind of soldiered on through it because that's the kind of character, and we kind of needed him. But you know, I think when he went away, he kind of realised that no, this is not kind of healing the way we wanted to. It's a couple of separate issues, but so, and I kind of spoke to him and I said, look, just have a break. We need you 100% fit. As much as we'd love to have him out there, and I think it's best for him. He gets totally over everything, and you know, he had the birth of his daughter this week as well, which is also a significant event in his life, and you know, these kind of things. I think it's important for him to pause a little bit and just spend some time with his family. So I think it's a right thing to do.
Can you give any? He says a couple of things. Can you give any detail about what it is?
Yeah, one was obviously the knock on his toe, which has been a bit sort of troublesome, and it hasn't been. And prior to that, he had a bit of a sort of tight hamstring. It wasn't a hamstring injury, but he was kind of tight with it. So we're being careful with him. He's kind of over both now, but we're just waiting. You know, rather than sort of throw him back in this weekend. Like I said, he's had the birth of his daughter as well. We just felt like we'll take this time to get him 100%.
Just finally, as a manager, as his manager, is there that temptation to think, I don't really want him to go to South America for these fixtures? It's understandable.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. But you know, I think, like I said, there's always a line there with, you know, especially somebody like Romero, where you've got to trust his judgment as well. You know, and he understands the responsibilities he has. He didn't make it any worse. He just didn't feel like he could perform at the level he wanted to, and it's the reason he came off at half-time. And it didn't sort of, if anything, you know, when he came back, it's actually improved. So it hasn't made any sort of the situation worse for him. I just think, you know, he needs to get his body right so he can be at his best.
Okay, we'll go Matt and then finish with Tom, please.
We reached a point last year with injury when you even said to us, we'll address it, we'll have a look at the end of the season, we'll review it and see whether we're doing anything wrong, training-wise, day did you find out as much changed?
Yeah, a fair bit's changed. We've changed a lot sort of in that space in terms of personnel, first of all, people, and then, with the way we're sort of dealing with both injury sort of prevention and injuries. And look, this year, the unfortunate thing for us is we've been hit in sort of the same sort of areas. Like, it's kind of in the attacking third, we've obviously had significant injuries, which means, you're kind of thin in that place and you kind of overload people. So some of it's a bit of a circumstance of that. But yeah, we addressed it in the off season. I think the nature of the way we play and we train is always going to be on the edge. It's kind of by design, which means you're going to have some attrition. But the ones we've had this year, for the most part, I think, things like Richie and sort of probably Wilson are just a consequence of the way we train, the way we play, and those players not being ready for it.
You can't ease off and training for it. You have to.
Well, you can, but I just feel it will sort of take away from what we're trying to create here. And I believe that, you get more robust as you move along on the journey. So I think we've seen that with some of our players. They're really thriving in it. Like we're getting better performances, better physical outputs from a lot of players who are in their second year with us. And I think that gets inbuilt as you go along, but there is some attrition, yeah.
Can I just throw a random one in as well about Hugo Lloris and the watch? Did you see the story where he said it was almost in this old bloody typical Spurs kind of vibe. We celebrate and get to the final, not winning it. What were your thoughts on what he said and whether or not that
Look, I think I might have mentioned it, but I always feel with those things, because I see it from my experiences, right? When people talk about experiences they've shared with me, we've got a totally different view, even though we've lived the same experience. I think everyone's got their own truth about these things. And, that's sort of Hugo's truth. I think, maybe Daniel's got a different truth about that, and other people at the club have got a different truth about that. Is it significant? I really don't think so. I think those kind of things probably take on more significance in your mind if there isn't a positive outcome. But if there was a positive outcome, people might have said, I was inspired because the club sort of gave us this great boost before. I mean, I don't know. I think all those things could be true at the same time. Ultimately, when you get to a final, and it was a pretty tight final decided by, small margins, to say that one thing was indicative of, because it takes a hell of a lot, like in a semi-final, they had to overturn a pretty big deficit. So isn't that a winning culture? Isn't that sort of, so, like I said, I don't like sort of passing judgment on those things, because they all lived it and they've got their own truth behind it.
Tom, finish with you, please.
Just a sort of bigger picture question. This is your 50th league game in charge this weekend. In the early stages, you kind of said you expected lots of ups and downs. Would you expect at this point, is this kind of where you would expect the team to be, still kind of showing good signs, but also some bad ones as well?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but I think you've got to look at it as the totality of those 50 games. Like I said, because your question probably would have been reframed differently if we had won the last game. Because you'd be going, at the end of 50 games, would you expect yourself to be third and still be in the Carabao Cup and going well in Europe? So because of one result, we're kind of looking at it the other way. And I think what I try and do is look at that totality of those 50 games. And Dan, you wrote one this week, wasn't it, about my 50 games? Was it you?
Yes.
Yeah. I do read stuff, mate. And I thought it was a good article too. Very balanced. For whatever that's worth, anyway. Not that I agreed with all of it. But if you look at the totality of those 50 games, considering our starting point, and I keep going back to that because I think people forget our starting point. I took over a club, finished 8th. Didn't take over a club that finished 3rd, 4th, 2nd, 5th. Finished 8th, no European football, significant player turnover, change in playing style. Where did I think we'd be after 50 games? God knows, mate. Could have been a whole lot worse now. But when you look at it in the current prism of we're 10th, you're kind of going, doesn't look good. I understand that, and we have to improve that. But over the 50 games, I think there's enough there that shows we are progressing as a team and we are developing into the team we want. The key is the next 50 games, if they can be in totality better than the first 50, A, that means I'm here, but secondly, I think we'll be in a good space.
Do you think maybe that first kind of 2 or 3 months almost set the standard unhelpfully high?
No, because like it was what it was. Like it's somehow that's become a millstone because I started too well, you know. And like, what was I supposed to do? Start crap, and then everyone goes, "Oh, they're improved." You know, like it's just that's what we dealt with at the time. We were riding on a bit of a wave of sort of a new enthusiasm, and a lot of those games were very, very close, mate. You know, last minute Sheffield United. You know, like there's a lot of games that 1 or 2 goes different when our season doesn't look that much better. So you understand that context. So I didn't get carried away with that, nor am I sort of lost any sort of belief in what we're doing just because we're where we are now. So so that's always kind of my view on these things. I like I said, I won't sort of just look at what's in front of us right now. Look at the totality of what we're trying to do. I firmly believe we're on the right path. I firmly believe in the squad of players. I firmly believe that we will have success. Those things are still there. But, you know, I can see why outwardly, in this current stage, if you put a pin in it right now, you're going, well, it doesn't look that way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.